The bottom of the GTA real estate market was in January of 2023. And now, as we are in June, the prices for the average property across the GTA has gone up by about $157,000. Has the ship sailed, and are we ever going to see prices like how we saw in the later half of last year? Hello everyone, my name is Kokilan with the Remax Metropolis and the Paper Planes Group real estate team, a small real estate team primarily focusing on the Durham, York, and Toronto areas. Now, if this is the first time that you are seeing my videos, please drop a follow or a subscribe, as this will really help grow this channel. With that said, here is your May market update. The average price across the GTA is now just over $1,196,000. Now, what's interesting to me is that usually we compare prices year over year, and the gap between what we used to see in the previous months compared to now is slowly shrinking and shrinking, meaning that we are catching up to prices compared to last year. So year over year, we are actually down by about 1.2%. or about $14,000 for the average price. Now, if we are comparing month to month from May compared to April of this year, the average prices went up by about 4%. The average price in April was about $1,153,000, and for the month of May, we are at $1,196,000, or about $40,000. So this time last year, the Canada benchmark rate was at 1%, and now we're sitting at 4.5% with an increase of about 350%. Now, if we're looking at the number of sales or how active the real estate market actually is that last month we had 9,000 transactions compared to about 8,000 transactions last year. Now, the month prior, if you had seen my market update, we were sitting at about 7,500 transactions, and many people were saying that that is really not too many transactions. So it's very interesting to me that year over year, we are up by 25% in terms of transactions. So if you are wondering if people are actually out there and are actually buying and closing on properties, this is a strong indicator of that. The average days on market is now 14 days, meaning that if you have a property listed, it should take about 2 weeks for it to sell. The months of inventory is hovering at 2.2 months, meaning that if no new inventories come to the market, it should take about 2 months for all that inventory to be sold. And anything under 4 months of inventory is considered a seller's market. Now, if we're looking at the average price by type, detached had a small increase and also did townhouses, and we have seen a drop in average prices for the semi-detached and condo townhouses. I find these two increases very interesting, as year over year, all these categories used to have negative results, and now we're slowly seeing that the trend is going in the other direction. Now, if we're looking at the average prices by region, Toronto, the average price is now at about 1.2 million, Durham just over 1 million, York close to 1.4 million, Peel region at 1.4 million, Halton region close to 1.3, and Simcoe at just under $1 million. Now, if you are on a budget and trying to enter the market, the Durham and Simcoe average prices still seem to be very enticing. And for a better deal, it might be worth it to check out Simcoe, as they have 3.2 months of inventory and the average days at around 20 days. Now, next, let's look at how the prices have been from last year of January 2022 to now. So obviously, we know that February was a peak. We often talk a lot about the peak, but what I want to focus on in this video is how much we have come from the bottom. So last year during the summer, prices pretty much stabilized. It wasn't going too much up, nor was it going too much down. And the absolute bottom was in January 2023. And over the past 5 months, we have seen slow increases, or like I have mentioned in the beginning of the video, $150,000 in terms of increase compared to the absolute bottom in January. Although we are seeing the activity pick up, like I mentioned, there was 9,000 transactions last month, and right now we're sitting at about 15,000 properties that are currently listed for sale for both freehold and condos. As a seller, it is important to sit down with your realtor and check the inventory in your pocket and come up with a plan and come up with a realistic expectation as to how long your property could be on the market and for what price you could possibly sell for. If there is a few other listings in the area and you're priced way off, your property is likely going to be sitting on the market for quite some time, and before you know it, it will lose some traction. Now, as a buyer, there are a few listings that are, hot listings. They're one of the few listings in that area, and it could generate multiple offers, whether it's a few, 5, 10, 15, 20. But there are some properties that are sitting on the market for a few days or few weeks where you're able to go in and possibly negotiate not only the price, but certain conditions that may work in your favor. And as I always say to all my clients, if you are a buyer, you have to go out and try. Buying a house is almost like obtaining a job. You have to try and try and try until that perfect property falls on your lap and you're able to secure that. If you don't try, you're not going to get any houses. In summary, the average price is up by about $40,000 month over month and by about $157,000 compared to January of this year. And compared to the previous months, what I find interesting is that the number of transactions have gone up, where we had 9,000 transactions last month. What you have to understand is that although we are in a high rate interest environment, the average price is pretty much down by about $120,000 compared to February of 2022, where interest rates were absolutely low. If you are planning to buy for an investment or for yourself, or if you're renting a place, you have to factor all that into place, as you might not get the interest rate today, you might not get the price today, but you will get something today. And even in a high interest rate environment, we have seen 5 months of price increases. And to be honest, as a buyer, I don't think the market is as crazy as it used to be, where properties used to sell in a few hours, although there can be properties with certain potential or in certain areas that could sell that fast. What I'm trying to say is that there is still opportunity as a buyer. And as a seller, most of the times, whoever is selling their property is moving on up. Again, although you're probably sitting in a lower interest mortgage on that existing property and you might be paying a little bit higher on the purchase, you have to understand that you have probably made a good sum of money along with the down payment that you originally put, that you are eventually going to carry forward to that new purchase. Well, I want to say thank you if you have reached this far. I hope I have been able to provide some sort of insight on what's happening on the market. If you want to reach me, you can find my contact below.